Shortly after 10 o'clock this morning, there was an individual in a vehicle that drove into a snowbank up at Lucas and Hunt in West Florissant. That individual then got out of his car with a gun and started firing off rounds indiscriminately. He walked down this way, down West Florissant, and ended up in the area of Ferguson and West Florissant. That's where our officers arrived on scene. A gunfight ensued once we arrived on scene. At least one officer did fire shots. We don't know how many at this time. And then one officer did strike this individual with his police car. That individual was then, we administered CPR and some first aid to him. He was transported to an area hospital but was pronounced deceased a short time later. No officers were injured. Again, I know we had at least one officer that fired at this individual, but we don't know how many shots were fired or anything like that at this point. No officers injured, and this individual, he was the only one who was injured and again was pronounced deceased. No bystanders were struck or vehicles at this point that we're aware of were struck. Those are the only injuries that we have.
You said he was struck by a police vehicle?
Yes. Yes, our officers, like I said, ensued him in a gunfight, and then one of them did strike him with his vehicle. Yes.
Is that a tactical maneuver or an accident? What does that look like?
That looks like this isn't the first time something like that has happened. When someone is firing shots and we are able to use whatever means necessary to stop that action. So if he's firing off shots and he's creating a threat, obviously here there's a store right there and our officers are on scene. We don't want anyone struck, so we are going to take whatever means necessary to stop that from happening.
And you don't know how many times that the suspect was shot at, you said?
No, we don't know how many times. That's part of the investigation.
So we don't even know if the suspect was struck by an officer's bullet.
We actually don't at this time, no. It's just very early in the investigation.
You know what kind of weapon the suspect had?
All I know is it was a gun. I don't know what type of firearm it was.
And was it called in that he was firing indiscriminately?
Yes, we were called to the crash as well as him firing off rounds, yes.
Was the suspect just firing off rounds into the air, or?
From what I understand, it was kind of indiscriminate. He was just firing off rounds. He got out of his vehicle and just started firing. So.
But he did fire at officers.
I don't know where he fired it as far as once our officers got on scene, but again, he's out of his vehicle and he's walking down the road and he's firing a gun.
At any point did he strike any vehicles or anybody?
That's all part of the investigation.
Yeah.
We've got officers all up and down West Florissant here and canvassing the area and looking for any property damage. At this point, no one's come forward and been struck by bullets, so we're not aware of any injuries, but we would encourage the public, if they're aware of anything, to please come forward and let us know.
Do you know what time did you say this happened at?
Shortly after 10 a.m.
After 10 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay, and so this part of the road has been blocked off then?
Yes, it's been blocked off ever since, and it will take. We'll have it shut down for as long as we need to investigate this properly.
Are you guys thankful that nobody was further injured in this situation, as far as any pedestrians or anybody at the store walking around or in their cars out here?
Absolutely. I mean, any loss of life is terrible. We're very thankful, though, that no one else was injured other than the individual who was responsible for this act of violence.
You said at this point you have one officer at least that was to discharge their firearm?
Yes, we know that one officer did. We're not sure if there were more at this time. Again, that's all part of the investigation. It's very early in the investigation at this point.
And as far as what we talked about with traffic, sometime this will remain shut down into this afternoon?
Correct. When we have an officer-involved shooting, especially one where it's a little bit lengthy and the person was walking down the street firing off, we've got a lot of evidence that we need to gather and people that we need to try to talk to and canvass that type of situation, yes.
And I was going to say, it spans several blocks. So this is a fairly expansive scene because he was on foot and walking?
Correct. It is an expansive scene. So we may be out here for a couple more hours. It just kind of depends upon what we locate.
And were these just individuals that were calling in, were they just driving in their car and saw this suspect?
Oh, I don't know who called in the incident. I'm not aware of that information at this point.
Okay. And did you say if the suspect was a male, female?
The suspect is a male. I don't have an age, so we're not calling him an adult or anything like that at this point. We'll wait until we get a little bit more information on that.
Do you guys have any, idea why he was doing this?
No, we don't. That's all part of the investigation, and those are definitely things that we're going to look into.
When he did the snow, did he have trouble with the car? Or did he, you know what I mean?
I don't know the extent of the damage
Okay.
to his vehicle. No, I don't know.
So you don't know if you had run-ins with this individual in the past?
No, I don't have any information on that at this point.
Was his vehicle disabled? Was it stuck in the snow or stuck on a bank or anything that you know of, or was it, we don't know?
From what I understand, he ran into a snowbank, so I don't know if he was able to drive out of it or not, or if he even tried to. I don't know. All right? We will send out a release later that will give you hopefully a little bit more information, but at this point, that's everything that we have. And just if anyone has any information, if anyone saw this today, if anyone was up in this area and was a witness to anything, if they would please reach out to us, we would appreciate that. All right? Thank you.
Thank you so much.